This video was produced by the UCD Maths Support Centre in conjunction with the UCD Access Centre. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how we graph some of these trigonometric functions. So first I want to take a look at the function sine. So if we plot the function sine x, we can see that we get this pattern over here, this wave-like pattern here. And if we look more closely at this graph, we can actually tell what its range and its period is. So range, if you can't remember, is how high up and low down it gets on the y-axis, and period is how often or how long it takes for the graph to reach the same point again. So on the graph of sine x, we can see that our range goes from 1 to -1. So our range here is from -1 to 1. And our period for sine x is actually 2 pi radians, or 360 degrees. If we look at a slightly more complicated case where we have sine 2x instead of just sine x here, we see that although the range doesn't change, it still goes from +1, between +1 and -1. What we see now is that to get from one point back to the same point, so from say 0 to 0 on the y-axis, it only takes, in this case, pi radians, or 180 degrees. So our range stays the same, but our period is now halved. And once again, to take a slightly more complicated route, if we look at 2 sine 2x, so taking sine x and multiplying it by this 2, we see that our range now is between -2 and +2, and our period is still 180 degrees, or pi radians. So what's happened is our range has gone from -1 to 1 up to -2 to 2, and our period has stayed the same. So from these three graphs we can see two things: that if we have y equals a sine bx, our period is going to be 360 degrees divided by b. So in the case when we had sine 2x, our b was 2, so our period was halved to 180 degrees, and our range will be -a to a. So in the case of 2 sine 2x, our range was -2 to 2, and since sine x and sine 2x are only being multiplied by 1, our range is -1 to 1. And now we'll take a look at cosine. So almost very similar to the case of sine, when we just have cosine on its own, cosine x, our range is -1 to 1, and our period is still 360 degrees. So that's this line on the table here. When we multiply that by 2, our period remains the same, 360 degrees, or 2 pi radians, but now we're going from -2 to +2. And if we go even further and multiply cosine x by 3, our range is -3 to 3, and again our period remains the same, 360 degrees. So similarly with cosine, as we had with sine, when we have y equals a cosine bx. Our range is going to be minus a to a, and our period will be 360 degrees divided by b.